Bulls Nation, after a back-to-back with a victory against the Charlotte Hornets, unfortunately today was not in our favor and we fell to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now this game in the second half became a little bit more respectable than what we saw in the first half, but regardless of that, there are a few things that I want the Bulls to take away from this Lakers game and add to their own game following the next few games. So without further ado, let's talk about the LA Lakers versus the Chicago Bulls in this video. Let's do it. What's up everybody, it's the Aidan Sports Show and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls versus Los Angeles Lakers game reaction where the Chicago Bulls fell to the Los Angeles Lakers in a game that became a little bit more respectable in the second half, but obviously we all know was not the best game for the Chicago Bulls and there is a lot that we need to work on and a few things that we need to take away from that Lakers team to add into our own game. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below who was your player of the game today. I know there's not that many to choose from because overall the Bulls players did not really play well at all. The bench didn't play well, the starters didn't play well, and obviously when you look at the score, which was 101-90 in the Los Angeles Lakers' favor, that game is fairly respectable. We only lost by 11 points. It is what it is. They're the Lakers, they're the reigning champions. But I think the first half, if you watch this game, the first half we were down by almost 30. Which is tough. It's a tough one to swallow. The Lakers put a beating on us. Anthony Davis returned to Chicago, was hyped to play in his hometown, and he gave us the business, and so did a lot of their players today. But regardless of that, with all the negatives that you could put into this, there are just a few things I want the Chicago Bulls from film, from experiencing it and just watching the game itself. I want a few things the Chicago Bulls need to take out of this game to add into their own. Because at the end of the day, when you verse good teams, you need to take some of the things that they do and put it into your own team, put it into your own game and figure out your own way to make your team better. The way that the Lakers played defense today was probably the best I've seen all season from an NBA team. And I know the Bulls didn't help that with their struggle, with their lack of ball movement. Everything that the Bulls went from doing to the Hornets, we didn't do against the Lakers or any team that we've won. We didn't share the ball as much. We weren't able to make those cuts. We will basically give the ball to Zach, give the ball to Kobe, doing pick and roll, and whatever happens from then happens. There wasn't that much movement today. But the Lakers' defense was absolutely sensational. The switches they did, the communication they had on defense. Look, at the start of the game, the commentary team wasn't, for whatever reason, wasn't actually talking. Like it was just silence, and you could hear them. You could hear the communication on defense that they had. That is something that the Bulls need to add to their own game. I'm not saying we don't communicate on defense. I'm saying that the way that the Lakers communicate on defense and the way that the Bulls communicate on defense is two completely different things. In the first half, we look lost on defense. We look lost on offense. I want to see us learn from this game, learn from the Lakers' defensive awareness, and learn from how the Lakers play defense, and try to add that into our own game. Because we have depth, we have versatility, we have quality in terms of players. But right now, that game plan that the Lakers had against us was leaps and bounds better than what the Bulls provided. We need to learn from them. And we need to learn from every good team we versed. Against the Boston Celtics, whatever Boston Celtics team that does show up, we need to take something from their game. We need to take something from the Lakers today. I would love to see the Bulls play defense the way the Lakers play defense today. The ball movement, look, at the end of the day, there are going to be nights where we're stagnant, where we're still, we came off a back-to-back. I'm not making excuses. The Bulls deserved this loss, and the Bulls were not good enough. They have to be better. If we're going to be a winning team, I'm not talking about just playoffs. I'm talking about something beyond that. In a few years' time, we need to learn from a game like this. We need to prevent games like this from happening. But regardless of that fact, the defense, it's so key to me in my eyes. The way that the Lakers play defense today is something I want to see the Bulls do consistently. And that's the next step for them, in my opinion. The passing, the turnovers, all of that needs to be improved on. But the defense also needs to be something that the Bulls have to work on as well. Anyway, we can move into the box score for this game. We can move into the individual performers as well, but I don't really have that much to say in this retrospect. The box score isn't pretty. There's not many people that showed up. Our bench was not a big factor compared to what they used to be. Otto Porter and Wendell Carter were out today. Otto Porter once again missed another game. I'm getting very concerned with Otto Porter. I don't know if this was just because it's a back-to-back, but I feel like every second game, Otto Porter seems to be missing it. We need to see more healthy games out of Otto Porter. Hopefully, it's just because it's a back-to-back and that he's still kind of healing from his back injury or his hip injury, whatever it was, and he'll be fine to go for the next few games because we don't have back-to-backs for a while. That's what I'm thinking. And Wendell Carter, obviously, he was out last game. He was out this game. He should be back against the Celtics as well. So we should have a full team against the Boston Celtics, which will be good for us, I guess. Another thing I do have to mention, Cristiano Felicio got his first minutes of the NBA season today. He didn't do too badly, 7 points, 2 rebounds. Again, Felicio's not the best player. We all know this. We shouldn't be talking about Felicio getting game time. But again, since he did get his first minutes, it's probably the only time, one of the only times we're going to talk about Felicio this season. So I wouldn't say I'm happy that he got minutes, but I don't think he did badly at all, considering the minutes he got. He only played 7 minutes and he got 7 points. That's not bad return for a player like Cristiano Felicio whatsoever. Now, the only player that had real significance towards this game, there were a few players that did well, don't get me wrong, but I think majority of the players failed to deliver in what they were trying to do. Zach LaVine had a double-double today. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Zach LaVine, did he have a great game? Not really. I mean, he got a double-double. I mean, he did all he could have done more, to be honest. But again, we struggled. And Zach LaVine was part of that struggle. This is a game where every single Bulls player struggled to an extent. So I can't blame Zach LaVine for this loss. I think in terms of there are games like this where we need Zach LaVine to score. This is the prime game. In my last video against the Charlotte Hornets, I said Zach LaVine is finding his balance, but there are games where we still need him to score 30 and 40. People that say that Zach LaVine shouldn't be scoring over 30 points or should be finding his teammates more, to an extent, that's what Zach LaVine was doing today. But the difference is his teammates were not showing up. Larry Markkinen didn't hit too many shots. Kobe White didn't hit too many shots. Gafford was not really catching the ball at all. It seems like every time the ball went to Gafford, it was a turnover. The bench didn't deliver as much as it could have. So when games like this happen and the bench and the players are not really delivering for Zach LaVine, this is when he needs to score. This is when he needs to find that balance of, okay, my teammates tonight they're not up for it. It's time for me to get my score. It's time for me to get my shot. It's time for me to score. There's a balance there for Zach LaVine that he needs to find. I think he did a good job today, but obviously he could do a little bit more. Everybody on this team needs to do a little bit more. There is no excuse for going down 30 points in the first half. We made the second half more respectable, but we should have done a lot more in that first half to keep us in that game. That is the key thing I'm trying to say. Kobe White had a 14-point, 4 assists and 7 rebound game. Again, with Kobe White, it wasn't the best game from him. He's still trying to find his way and his balance. He's struggling with the shooting. I think, look, at the end of the day, streaky shooters will have their time in the sun where they're making every single shot. And then there are going to be times like this when he's not delivering on the shooting end. So again, it's all about finding the balance. Zach LaVine and Kobe White, the backcourt, needs to find balance in the way that they perform on a nightly basis. And today, there was a little bit less balance than what we've seen out of normal games. And again, maybe the Lakers defense had something to do with that. Patrick Williams, I thought Patrick Williams had one of his better games of the season this year. 13 points, 1 assist, 8 rebounds, nearly a double-double for Patrick Williams. Was efficiently scoring. He still had trouble deciding what he wanted to do. There was a specific part in the game where he took a dribble trying to drive and then he decided, I want to take this 3-point shot. Thankfully, the Lakers had no faith in him making that shot and he made them pay with that 3-pointer. Again, people are sleeping on Patrick Williams. The Lakers of all teams was someone that I didn't expect that would be sleeping on Patrick Williams. He got a very nice dunk today as well. He made some threes. He played very, very well today. Obviously, Larry Markkinen, for the minutes that he played, he did not have a great game. 36 minutes, only had 12 points and 7 rebounds. Not much to say on that retrospect. He needs to do better. Daniel Gafford didn't have a great game. 4 points, 1 rebound, playing 18 minutes. As the starting center in this league, that is not good enough. You need to find better efficiency, better scoring. You need to be a better defensive player as well. He did not live up to that hype. 18 minutes and only 1 rebound. I think that's very poor, to be honest. Obviously, we can go to Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus Young had 6 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. And everybody else, it was just mediocre. I mean, there were just games that are just forgettable. So I don't really want to go too much into this. It's very hard to pick a must improve, to be honest, realistically, because there were a lot of players that I think needs to improve. I really do. So I'm just going to say the Chicago Bulls need to improve. I'm going to target everybody because I feel like there is not one player on this team that can have a worse game than what they've had probably. This team needs to improve in all areas from this game. We need to learn from this game. I'm not saying that the Bulls are trash. I'm not saying that the Bulls are terrible. I'm not saying that the Bulls were just one of the worst teams in the NBA. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to hate on these players. I just think from what we've seen in recent games, even from the last game we played against the Lakers, we have a lot more to show than what we did. So I think all the players in this team, a team effort lost today. All the players on this team needs to step up and pick up that momentum and carry it over to the Celtics. Pick up that momentum against the Hornets. Pick up the things you need to learn against the Lakers. I hope Billy Donovan is showing them how they play defense and how their defense was tremendous. And I want them to try and carry that over to Boston, where we can play a good defensive game and have a better defensive game than what we usually do. This should be a learning experience for the Chicago Bulls. There is a positive in every negative. There's a positive in a victory, and there's negatives in a victory, and there's also positives in a loss and negatives in a loss. So the positive is that we need to learn from the Lakers' defensive presence. Also, their ball movement was very good today as well. Something we need to look into as well from our play and how we can do that. And we've been doing that so far. It's time to continue the ball movement. We need to play better defense. The player of the game, I mean, it's slim pickings, but again, I don't really know. I really don't know who to give it to. I mean, I think we should give it to Zach LaVine, but I do want to give a shout out to Patrick Williams as well, who I thought Patrick Williams was definitely the second best player on the court today. So I'll give it to Zach LaVine. Patrick Williams will get a player of the game sooner or later. I'm sure of it. I'm sure he will get one sooner or later. But Zach LaVine had a double-double. I think he stepped up today in terms of finding the scoring. He was the highest scorer on the team today. 21 points is not good for Zach LaVine. But yeah, I really do feel like Zach LaVine was probably the player of the game today. Again, you could pretty much pick anybody from Zach LaVine, Patrick Williams, and probably Kobe White, Larry Marketing. You could pick anybody, but no one played well today. So I am going to give it to Zach LaVine because I just thought he was the best out of the rest today. The Bulls' record is 7-9. It's a tough record. We're still very, very close to the playoffs. I mean, what makes this loss hard is that we could have went 500 today if we won this game. And again, it's very hard to beat the Lakers. I'm not going to say that we walked into this 100% confident. I did have faith that the Bulls would keep this close and compete. To an extent, in that second half, we did. But obviously, you'd like to see a little bit more from this Bulls team. 7-9 is definitely not bad. Once again, people fail to realize we do have one of the hardest schedules in the NBA in terms of competition. So in that second half of the season, I would like to think the Bulls could manage to push a little bit further than what they are. I really do think with the teams that we've versed, the competition we face, 7-9 is a very good record for the Chicago Bulls, and it's a record that could definitely be improved upon. We do have some games, we do have some winnable games coming up, so it's up to the Bulls to find those winnable games and beat those teams that win those games, become a team that beats the teams they're supposed to beat. That's the first step. Losing to the Lakers, it's expected. You need to beat the teams that you have to beat. Games like the Knicks, I know the Knicks are doing very, very well this year. Those are the teams that we are expected to beat. The Grizzlies, who are also doing very well this year. Teams when we need to beat. Teams that we should be expecting to beat. That's how we first become a playoff team. And obviously, beating the better teams will come along with that as well. Obviously, the next game is against the Boston Celtics. I'm still unsure if Boston will have Jason Tatum for that game. That's a key part of their plan out the window. So the Chicago Bulls should try to capitalize on that if Jason Tatum does not play. Jaylen Brown is a terrific player. Kemba Walker's back for them. I don't think he's had the best time of things at the moment. They have lost 2 in a row against the 76ers. So they'll be coming into that game desperate for a win. So it's up to the Chicago Bulls to have that same feeling that we lost to the Lakers. We need to come desperate for a win. And if we get that victory, then that's a big sign that this game is a learning curve for the Chicago Bulls. Every single time the Bulls have lost, the Bulls have lost, we've come back with a good reaction. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we win the game, but we react to the losses that we have. This is the positive, again, that we need to look forward to. Let's see how the Bulls react to this. Billy Donovan talks about adversity, fighting through adversity. Right now, let's see if that Boston Celtics game, the Bulls are able to fight through adversity, compete, come close, and we could beat the Celtics. Again, we could have beat the Lakers. I still have faith we could beat the Celtics as well. Let's see what the Chicago Bulls could come up with over those course of the games. We do have a few days off as well. We will have fresh legs for that game. Let's see what the Chicago Bulls can do against Boston. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video, hopefully with a little bit more positivity going to that Boston game. Take care and peace.